This week's podcast is all about what you need to do when you're looking to leave your current firm. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. Hi and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast. I'm Craig Skelton. This week's podcast, I'm going to talk about and look at what you need to do when you're looking to leave your current firm. So the first thing is you've got in your head, you've made that decision that you want to leave where you're at and that home's not right for you anymore. The first thing you need to look at is it just a knee-jerk reaction? Are you just reacting to something that's happened this week, this month? And also as well, is it a cry for help? So when you are unhappy where you are, it can be a knee-jerk reaction, can be a cry for help, or it actually can be a genuinely response to wanting to look into to leave, and you know inside that you need to find a new home. So once you've made that decision and then you've gone out there and found your new home, the new firm, the one that really fits with you and what you're about and your values and everything else, that's great. So then what you need to do now is, that's the exciting part of it. What you need to now look at is, well, how do I leave and how do I exit my current firm? And this can be looking at from an employed point of view is a little bit more simpler than a self-employed point of view. So as an employee, you don't need to worry about pipeline. You're not going to obviously get paid or anything like that. You're just going to get paid at the last day of your month once your notice is finished, and then you're then on to your new roles. So it's a little bit more simpler when you're employed because you're guaranteed to get paid. But for self-employed, it's a little bit more complicated that, because income worry, you've got that concern about pipeline and stuff like that. So I really don't want to talk about that. But when you're first thinking about sitting down and telling your current firm that you wanted to leave, like, how do you feel? Is there the sort of dread in there? Is there excitement? Both feelings are very natural. So if you are dreading it, then that's fine. If you're excited about it, that's okay too. But at the end of the day, what you've got to understand is a breakup is a breakup no matter what side of the fence you're on. Whatever happens when you tell the current firm that you're looking to leave, you've got to remember that this is your life, these are your options, and you're free to do whatever you want to do, where you want to do it. So you've got to have that focus in your mind at all times. You cannot control the firm's response. You can't control that. So at the end of the day, like I said, a breakup's a breakup. So it is a sense of rejection. So they are, you've got to have that in your mind. But how they handle that rejection and how they handle the conversation and the meeting with you, and when you do decide to terminate your notice with your current firm, how they handle it says so much about them. So we're going to look at three things: preparation, timing, and then dealing with the response. But like I say, one thing you've got to remember is that focus on the end goal. Focus on, this is something that you wanted. It's not a knee jerk. It's not a cry for help. This is something that you genuinely want, and you've already found your new firm and where you're moving on to. You need to focus on you because you are doing the right thing for you. And you want to leave on the right terms. You want to leave with your head held high. So burning bridges and not leaving on the right terms is not something that I recommend, especially in this industry where brokers meet other brokers, paths cross again. So it's something you've got to be aware of when you're looking to leave your current firm. So the first thing you need to do is be prepared. And so how do you prepare for handing your notice in? How do you prepare for terminating? Well, looking at your contract, what does your contract state? What does it say? What happens to your pipeline when you terminate your notice? What notice do you need to give? Will you get paid on your pipeline? How does that look? Will you get paid on the whole of your pipeline? Do they keep anything back? When will you receive that money? What happens about clawback? You've got to remember that if you've been selling protection, there is clawback liability. Does that tie you in with your current firm? So they've got to sort of come back to you in future. Do they hold anything back about your clawback? So you've really got to do all this homework before you sit down with your current firm. So we've looked at preparation. The next thing is about timing. And the thing is with timing is it's got to get it right for you. It's got to work for you in terms of the right timing. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're talking about timing, but it's all based around you. It's never going to be the right time for the firm. So that's taken away from you. It's about what's right timing for you. So the thing is to remember that you can go, if you're moving on to be a self-employed mortgage broker elsewhere, there's a lot of things you can do and gone through before you even give notice to your current firm. So you can start the application. They can reference your past employers. Clearly they don't want to reference your current employer. That's something that they don't do, or your current firm. That's something you want to make sure that's clear. But there's a lot of things that can do. All the background checks, things like that can be done without your current firm even knowing. So that's okay to do. Because ideally what you're looking to do is, when I talk about timing, is once you cease trading or you're not authorised with your current firm, the next day or as close to that as possible is you then start trading with your new firm. So it's always about getting the timing right. But like I say, it's always about working timing for you. Think about income, think about notice period, think about what you're doing and where you're going and what things need to be set up in terms of induction. Put all those together and work out when the time is going to be right for you. And the last thing and the last point on this is dealing with the response of the firm. So what you've got to be aware of, that do not be surprised by any response. So I'm always about going worst case scenario, preparing for the worst. That's what I've talked about before. So with this, it's the same thing when you're looking to hand your notice in with your current firm. Be prepared for the worst. Expect the unexpected, if you want cliches. Expect the unexpected and plan for the worst, because then at the end of the day, you cannot control their response. You can control where you're going. You can control in terms of the firm and your new role. You can control your preparation. You can control the timing, but what you can't control is their response. So, like their response and how they handle the rejection, because like I said before, it is rejection. How they handle that will say so much about them as individuals and about them as the firm. So the one thing that they cannot do is they cannot stop you from leaving. They cannot stop that. So however they deal with it, however they choose to deal with it, they cannot stop you. However, the money side of things is very different, because at the end of the day, you'll have a pipeline, you'll have business you've built up, you've got clawback liabilities, all those sorts of things that you've got to put into the mix and think about. Like, money is so different. It's like you know what your contract states and you're prepared for that, but be prepared for their response in terms of how they respond word for word to the contract and the agreement they've got. So don't be surprised by the response if it doesn't quite fit with what it states on the contract that you state. And obviously that's a legal document. Your contract's legally binding, but they'll be quite heated. They can be quite heated. Now, like I said, with this, I'm going worst case scenario. It can be handled very easily. It can be, like I said, rejection is rejection. You've decided to move on. How they deal with that and how your current business owner deals with that, it's their choice. You can't control that, as I said, but their response says so much about them. But you just got to make sure that you're prepared for the worst case. And when the worst case doesn't happen, you're pleasantly surprised. You serve your notice, you clear your pipe, you continue to work your pipeline while you serve your notice. Obviously, you're not going to put a new business in. You leave one firm, all amicable, all done. You move on to the next one. That's how it should be. That's as simple as it should be. However, that's not the case, because you're dealing with emotions and rejection. And as I've said before, people are okay with rejection and people are not okay with rejection. So just don't be surprised. So it's going to be raw at that time, but the thing is, you're prepared, you've got the timing right, you've now done it, you can now move on knowing that you're joining a firm that's for you, that fits with you and what you're looking to do and where you want to grow as a mortgage broker. So just to recap, be prepared, make sure your time is right, and just don't be surprised by the response of the firm. And that's the thing for me. So the main takeaway is make sure that you've got all those three things in your head clearly on the day you need to hand your notice in and terminate your contract with your new firm. Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want us to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.